Welcome back, JMart and Ramon, 104.5 The Zone, powered by our good friends at All Four Seasons Garage Doors in Nashville. 11-year NFL veteran involved for life, Ramon Foster, Jonathan Schaefer, Jason Martin at JMart and Ramon's, where you can find us all on Twitter. At Ramon Foster is where you can find Ramon. At Schaefer on Sports, where you can find Schaefer. I suppose you can find me at JMart Radio. You can find the Titans at 1-1. Unlike the Colts, who are 0-2, the Jags, who are 0-2, and the Texans, who just, I keep watching them and they're playing hard.
Yes!
That one broke me. I wasn't expecting that one. Wasn't expecting that one at all. We were expecting this. Guests appear via the Mark Spain Real Estate Hotline, including Auntie Kayla Anderson, WKRN, joining us on the line. Kayla, how are you?
Good morning, my friends. I was telling Shake I'm on my second cup of coffee, still not fully awake, so I hope y'all are doing a little better than me this morning.
Oh, well, we got up before 5, Kayla, so get on our level is all we can say about that.
Well, my husband got up at 5, so there you go.
Oh,
Wait. Did you just challenge her? Is that what you did, Jason? Because that wasn't being very gracious.
You do know what show we host, right, Mom? Right, Shafe?
This is the other thing. Kayla, you're trying to piggyback a win from your husband to get a win for yourself?
Oh, baby, any way I can do it this morning, I'm going to do it.
Okay.
Well, that right. You knew that's going on the soundboard, didn't you? You said that and you enunciated it.
That is. Starting off strong, fellas.
Moan, considering you were 0 for in birthdays, maybe you should use Kayla's husband to also pick you up after a loss.
No. She's not in the sharing, and I don't want that, okay?
All right, so
Please tell me you got Teresa's birthday, though.
We did at the top of the fourth
Okay.
hour. Yeah, of course we got her. So the Titans got a dub yesterday. You know that part of the country very well, obviously.
Yeah.
How important was the win and how surprising, especially with the way the first half ended?
Yeah, first of all, to get a win in that territory is incredible, considering everything that happened before leading into the game. Just that stadium has been changed a million times in terms of the name, but currently Lumen Stadium has been just one of the toughest places to play in the entire NFL. I mean, the way that it's built, the sound goes directly down. Those Seattle Seahawks fans are very passionate. And they hadn't been there in quite a while because they didn't have any fans last year. So you knew you're going into a real hostile territory, maybe even more so than in a while because they just haven't had fans. But then on top of it, you have Taylor Lewan, who injures his knee in pregame warmups, and I think everybody scrambled to Twitter and was like, this is a nightmare. Like, this is not going to be good. And I think even when we saw just the first half play from them and the deficit that they were in, just some of the big plays they gave up, it just didn't look good. And when you look at the statistics and you go back, and I think there was like a next-gen stat, too, that was saying it was almost impossible for the Titans at some point to come back in this game. And then lo and behold, the second half, it's like a whole new team. And again, you just have to give so much credit to the fight in this team. And you kind of knew in the past they had it in them. But you got to give a lot of credit to Derrick Henry because he's the one that really lit the fire yesterday.
Yeah, I mean, the stat that we saw and that we mentioned a couple times, Derrick Henry, leading rusher yesterday in the NFL, 182. Second leading rusher was Derrick Henry after contact with 160 yards. And then Dalvin Cook was third with 130. That's just preposterous stuff from Derrick Henry in the second half.
It is. And I just think we keep saying, is he going to be able to do it again next year? Can he continue to just stay healthy after all these carries that he's had? I mean, this guy yesterday posted a career high in rushing attempts with 35, and to add to the yards on the ground, he had 6 receptions. I mean, he was catching balls. It doesn't always look pretty, right? But he was getting the job done however he needed to get it done. I remember my first season here watching Derrick Henry, and it wasn't good. And to see him turn things around and continue to carry this team on his back in certain situations, it really is amazing to think about.
Going into halftime, 24-9. Did you expect this team to kind of pull this off? And the reason I'm asking you this is simply because I'm somewhat believing this backs against the wall mantra. Like, it's hard to live that life. We had somebody earlier say you need to take your blood pressure pills and do a woosah something to watch the Titans. But is this a real thing with this team, considering they won how they won 24-9 first half?
Yeah, and that's why I picked the Titans to win this game. I'm going to give myself a pat on the back here coming into this on our TN Nation show. I was the only one that picked them, and the reason why is just my gut was telling me Mike Vrabel loves to prepare his teams for these type of situations and these type of games when they are the complete underdog. And then even when they're losing in the first half, we've seen situations where in the second half they have been able to get it together and come back. Like you had mentioned, Bowen, their backs against the wall. They kind of like playing like that. A little scary to think about, but you do kind of have to go with your gut in those situations because they've just proven it time and time again. But I think this was the biggest for them in terms of a comeback, just being in the Pacific Northwest in that kind of an environment with everything against them. They could have clearly thrown in the towel. I just think this win was so impressive with how they were able to turn it up in the second half.
Watching, of course, the big conversation today is the referees. Were you a little surprised by this? Is this on par with, Seattle having home field advantage the way they do? What was your thoughts on just the calls?
You always wonder in the NFL with some of these games, like, what is their mindset in these situations? Like, because you do really feel like they were giving Seattle a lot of these calls. And from everything from overturning the Julio Jones touchdown, which the last time I checked, if you don't have good enough evidence to overturn it, you don't overturn the call. And there just was no reason to overturn that call. I mean, it was called a touchdown, and it should have stayed a touchdown. There was also the Chris Carson giving him that first down, which clearly it was short. And then the safety. I mean, that's the one I think that if you just went on social media, that's everybody's like, how did they not get that right? Which the Titans could have lost this game in overtime, potentially. If it didn't go their way, and you would have looked back at that situation and been like, oh my gosh, that's a head scratcher. But you're right. You do kind of wonder what are they kind of like pushing for the home crowd there, the home team?
I mean, maybe. I mean, I don't know about home cooking, but I do think you can get caught up in the atmosphere. I think even without trying to, like, I'm not saying the fix is in and conspiracies and all this other stuff, but I do think when you're out there in that crowd, electric, and let's not forget the officials last year didn't have fans, so they're excited as well, and maybe they're overdoing this a little bit right now.
Yeah, and that could be a part of it. I mean, the adjustment for everybody is clearly a factor, and I wasn't there, so I wasn't able to really hear and feel what it was like, but from everything that I've heard, for majority of the game, it was crazy. Like, and you could tell when Tannehill and the offense was out there that you could barely hear anything. And so just like players, I think it's possible that officiating can get caught up in that energy and atmosphere as well. But those are three, especially those two that I mentioned, are pretty big, like, calls that just I thought were wrong.
Well, they were wrong.
They were just over the top. What was right and felt right and ended up the game right was the new kicker, Randy Bullock. He here to stay? Are you buying a jersey? Where are you on this situation, Kayla? Because the rest of Nashville was rejoiced yesterday afternoon with the win the way they did, considering the history.
First of all, funny story. So I clearly am out at practice every week, at least 3 times a week, but we don't see the kickers mostly. And so we had seen Randy Bullock from afar. By the way, real short dude, not very tall.
No.
So yesterday we're watching Post as we're putting together our sports show, and I look up, and I kid you not, and I'll admit this, for a split second, I said, who the heck is that?
You are
Randy
petty.
Bullock coming to the podium. I figured out quickly it was Randy Bullock. But here's the thing, guys. First of all, good for him, and glad that he was able to hit that to win it for the Titans. Because first of all, he was here for a little bit, but it's still getting familiar with this team. Still getting familiar with his teammates, and then you're going straight to Seattle, to that environment to play in. And talk about the mental side of the game. That's all what it's about for kickers, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so I give him props. I know he missed one, but I think it's a good start. I'm not going to say he's here to stay, because if you look at the history of kickers here, it's like a curse. But I'm hoping that after maybe next week he continues to be on this path, and at least till they get Sam Ficken back. And Ackerman had mentioned briefly that they were hoping maybe to stick with Ficken if he gets healthy. But if this Bullock guy can come in and do his job, I'd have to say they'd probably just roll with him.
Kayla Anderson, WKRN, joining us here on the line. So are you telling us, based on his height, that if he was about 3 or 4 inches taller, there never would have been a Fat Randy nickname?
I'm not going to say that's not true, because it's just when you don't have a lot of height to you, it kind of just sticks in those places, right? So we're all built, God built us different, and we all got to be thankful for what we're given. So Randy, you work it.
Does he look like a broken can of biscuits? Does he look like a busted can of biscuits, like one that you accidentally already tried to slam down and you got the pop?
I guess that's a good way of explaining it, but I was really amazed with how short he was. I'm just going to leave it at that. He's just not a tall guy.
That's the Norm Peterson Cheers joke. Like, what's going on with my ideal weight if I were 11 feet tall? That's the problem for Randy Bullock right now. It's just he was born a hobbit, and so all the weight is hanging out in the wrong places. We got Frodo kicking, but as long as he's 4 for 5, I'll have Frodo kick until the end of time.
What is wrong with y'all?
JMart just roasted him this morning.
No, Kayla, you're a part of this too.
Okay. I'm just, you know what? I'm not that tall either, so I can't say anything.
But you called him short like you're towering over him.
Well, I am. I think I'm taller than him.
Yes, this is the great.
Is that in heels or in flats or what?
Okay, I'm 5'7" without heels, and Moan even said with heels I look like I pretty much can play in the WNBA.
Straight
okay,
facts. Oh my God.
I mean, Abby's 5'10". My wife is 5'10".
Yeah, she's
so.
Ooh, that's a good height.
Yeah,
You
no, she's not, but she could be. Hope you're listening, baby. I love you.
No, he doesn't. He's just lying. Okay. Back to this game, Kayla. You are 0-1 today, and I'm okay with it, okay?
Man, we got to have fun on here.
We do. It's Victory Monday.
Oh, my gosh.
Here we
I
go.
thought it was Kayla. I thought it was her again.
Moan, ask a real question, please.
Okay.
Yeah.
This defense, big time improvement against a really good, a known to be good team offensively anyway. The broken plays on defense, you have a feeling they can get fixed. The biggest issue this team had last year was third down. They kind of conquered that ended the game, I think, with 3 sacks yesterday also. You seeing some good things aside from the broken plays? Good things from this defense to build on, or what?
Absolutely. And we knew that, you're not going to come out here and see one of the top defenses in the league. It's not going to happen. And I think it will continue to improve. But this was a good sign just with how they, I think, responded. Because you do look at those big plays, that the one especially, what was it, the 68-yard touchdown, which he was completely wide open. I mean, I even tweeted it out. It was just my quick response. I was like, that's embarrassing, right? It's completely embarrassing. But they did pick up the pieces when it counted. And I was really encouraged by the play of Christian Fulton. He continues to get better, and I'm not going to say he's CB1 yet, but I think he's close to getting there. And that's really, I think, for Titans fans, encouraging considering last year he was hurt, he barely played. He's a high draft pick, right? We expected a lot out of him, and so it looks like he's headed in the right direction. I also think, they have their backs against the wall too. I mean, they knew what the Seattle offense could do in any situation. I mean, Russell Wilson can throw it deep at any time he wants to go deep. But, yeah, I think that this was a step in the right direction for them. I think it's something to build off of, to maybe build some confidence off of as well. I'm a little concerned about that safety position with Amani Hooker still hurt. I just don't think Bradley McDougall looked great at all against his former team, the Seahawks. But those are things that they can work on. And like you said, these are things like they can build on. They can go back and film and say, we need to work on this, work on that. But the third down situation, way more encouraging from what we saw last year.
Yeah. Kayla, we appreciate it. As always, this has been a fun conversation.
As always, it's always fun, guys, right?
It is.
No champagne today. Next time you got to come back in studio.
Popping bottles.
You guys drink that? I hope you did. If it went to waste, I'm going to be really mad.
It's not going to go to waste.
Okay.
You can believe that.
Have a good day, Kayla. We appreciate it.
Bring some orange juice.
Thanks, guys.
Yeah, that's Kayla Anderson, WKRN.
Whew, she came in hot today.
We come